Well, good morning, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone today? Good. Glad to hear it. Well, for those of you who don't know me, hello. My name is Heather, and I'm the music director here at the Sonoran Desert Center for Spiritual Living in beautiful Amado, Arizona. Oh, we're finally under 100 degrees, huh? Yay! Let's stand and let's sing our celebration song, I Love Myself So Much. And get ready now. This is the, third time we're doing it? Here we go. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that I can love you so much, that you can start loving me. I love myself so much, say it to your neighbor, that I can love you so much, and your other neighbor, that you can love you so much, yeah, that you can start loving me. Let's do it again. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, so much, that you can start loving me. Oh, let's do it again. I love myself so much. Tell everybody like you mean it. I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. One more time. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. You guys are such good sports.
Good morning, everybody. As you see in your program, I'm Jackie for the second time this month, so thank you. Jackie and Dan are doing better, but Jackie still hasn't tested negative for COVID, so that's why she's not here. Much less. It's okay. So I'm David Burke, and I'm your trustee on duty today. On behalf of Reverend Donna and the Board of Trustees, I am so privileged to welcome you here to the Sonoran Desert Center for Spiritual Living. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are truly welcomed here. Here you will be validated, supported, encouraged to be all that you can be. Our vision statement is love in action every day in every way. We express this love by learning and living the principles of the science of mind. You'll find our declaration of principles on the back of your program. Please join me now in reading them. I believe there is an infinite intelligence operating throughout the universe. I believe this intelligent power is only good. I believe this intelligence expresses as me. I believe through my conscious use of this power, I create my life as happy, healthy, and complete. And so it is. Do we have any first-timers here today that would like to be recognized? Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nancy Martin. I'm in Green Valley, and I've been to the Unity Church there quite a few years. But
wonderful to have you. And I see there's some familiar faces back, and we're very happy to have you here. I'm glad you're back safely, and we love you. Okay. I would like to thank all the people that made this Sunday celebration possible. And first of all, that's you sitting in the chairs and filling them up and running out of programs. So I'm sorry that we ran out, but this is great for us. So thank you. And everyone else who helps on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. We really appreciate all that you do for our center and for us as a whole. And I just want to say, it is awesome to have Melinda and Reverend Donna back and feeling better. If you would please direct your attention to the announcements that are in your bulletin, and if you're watching online, please visit cslaz.org for our announcements and our events calendar. Now, today is the third week, so this is a busy day here today.
If you would like to join us, if you're joining us for the first time today, our words for our Namaste song are in the very first page of your bulletin. The God in me beholds the God in you. It is all for our greatest and highest good. The God in me beholds the God in you, and you and I are one. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. It is all for our greatest and highest good. The God in me beholds the God in you, and you and I are one. Namaste. Namaste.
Good morning. Don't laugh at me, okay? But it's hot. It's 40 to 50 degrees warmer here than where I came from, okay? And the summer was, the weather, as far as weather, the summer was terrible. There was no summer for like 2 months. It was dark and rain every day. So I'll light this candle to represent the light in, around, through, above, and below each and every one of us. And it's so good. I actually got to experience this morning for the first time inside of myself the joyful noise of being here. It's just beautiful. Thank you. So for our invocation, I always like to start with a breath. Breathe in, breathe out. And find that still small place within that is always there, that has never, ever been disturbed. You might think of it as your guiding light. And just know and appreciate the fact that we have this beautiful sanctuary, that we are here to celebrate life, that we actually know the positive attributes of life from being here and from listening to Reverend Donna share with us all those beautiful attributes. And we're so grateful that Reverend Donna is back with us today to speak her truth. And I am very happy to be here also. So in this celebration, we just give thanks, we give gratitude, and so it is. Today I'd like to share about radical forgiveness. The topic is love thy neighbor, and within the topic is a reference to radical forgiveness, or forgiveness. So I thought it would be a good time for me to share. As some of you know, I'm a certified radical forgiveness coach and have witnessed profound shifts with clients, including myself, that have been led through the process. I think that's important. There is a process. And I do think it's important to have the coach for the work as we're digging deep, bringing up past hurts which have been buried for so long. I have witnessed a man shed his fear of relationships by healing a childhood trauma. A woman resolve her feelings of being rejected when she desperately needed a place to offer her wisdom. And a woman reconcile with her sister after years of separation. Radical forgiveness is important because weaning oneself away from victimhood is really the first step in developing a radical living consciousness. We cannot be in a peaceful state if we are holding resentment and anger about things that have happened in the past or continue to rob us of our peace today. It is incredibly disempowering to make others responsible for our lack of happiness, especially our parents, our partners, our kids, our siblings, our boss, our co-workers, not to mention doctors, lawyers, the government, and other institutions who we think have caused us distress or even harm. This is why I personally reject the statement, "He made me," whatever, as we give our power away with that perspective. The phrase, "How does that make you feel?" is running rampant currently. Where is your power in that approach? No matter whether the issues that we have with these folks are small or large, it's still necessary to do the work on each one to clear the energy out of our bodies and raise our vibration. But first, let's look at why traditional or conventional forgiveness doesn't work for 99.9% of the population, and then examine why radical forgiveness does work for more or less anyone who tries it using the tools provided. Meditation, mindfulness practices, and making a mental decision to forgive helps to some extent anyway, but only in the rarest of cases does it really achieve the result you want. The real reason why traditional forgiveness doesn't work is that it is attempting to reconcile two contradictory energies, the desire to forgive and the need to condemn. The need to be right is very powerful subconscious drive, and it will override any desire to forgive, which of course comes only from the conscious mind, and which is much weaker than the subconscious. Do you remember that? Our conscious is 10%, our subconscious is 90%. Add to that the fact that the brain experts will tell you that we are literally hardwired for revenge, not forgiveness. And you can see why so very few people ever achieve or even want to achieve it. Years of therapy will help, of course, but so long as there's any residual regret, not to mention pain, true forgiveness will remain elusive no matter how much compassion we bring to the situation, and no matter how much we try to let go. Now, whereas conventional forgiveness is hellishly difficult and takes forever, radical forgiveness is easy and fast-acting. The tools simply dissolve the pain and leaves you feeling peaceful and happy. The long-term benefits of radical forgiveness are better health, more energy, improved relationships, more prosperity, greater happiness, a lot more peace in your life, and so on. It works by not doing the usual stuff we associate with traditional forgiveness or conventional forgiveness, but by shifting the energy attached to the story that we have taken into our system. By that, I mean collapsing the energy pattern that has kept our story stuck in our body. We don't even have to know how it works. What the assumptions of radical forgiveness imply is that if everything that happens to us in life is all part of a divine plan and meant to happen the way it does, then there's nothing to forgive, period. That's it. Radical forgiveness in a nutshell. Sounds crazy though, doesn't it? Yes, but only to our rational minds. Radical forgiveness is a mystical experience, and the mind just simply can't go there. The only part of our psyche that can is our spiritual intelligence, which is the part of us that knows who we are, why we are here, and what we need to create for our spiritual lessons. To our spiritual intelligence, radical forgiveness makes perfect sense, and it knows exactly what to do to make it work, automatically. The physical body is the antenna for spiritual intelligence, which is why it is always necessary to use the tools provided to activate it. When we use the tools, we connect in through our spiritual intelligence to divine intelligence. Namaste. And I'll take the candle and hold the high watch, and the prayer table's open for your requests.
Well, I too got the weekly theme of love thy neighbor. And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is Mr. Rogers. But to me, loving your neighbor not only means that forgiveness, but being proactive, paying it forward, showing gratitude for people before the situation or condition even shows up in your life. Because what do we practice? That everything that we give, we receive at least threefold, yeah? So why not beat everybody to the punch? So. All right. So with that, I want to offer you a song about everyday people called Everyday People. College kids turning 21 in their senior year. Spring break was here. They headed south, but not for sun on their skin. Where the storms had been, it was hard fixing windows and shingles and doors. And I never felt so good before. Everyday people are the ones who are making miracles, and it's beautiful. Everyday people lifting up the world like an answered prayer. I thank God they're there, they're the ones who care. Everyday people. Doctor said, good news, we caught it soon enough. We can clear this up. She's 30 and single with 2 kids to raise. Times are tough these days, so her friends made some calls and spread the word. How her bills got paid, she don't know how. Everyday people are the ones who are making miracles, and it's beautiful. Everyday people lifting up the world like an answered prayer. I thank God they're there, they're the ones who care. Everyday people. Everyday people. Little girl takes her mama's hand and walks inside, saying, please don't cry. As the people who built this house just for them laugh through the tears as the family moves in. Everyday people are the ones who are making miracles, and it's beautiful. Everyday people lifting up the world like an answered prayer. I thank God they're there, they're the ones who care. Everyday people. Everyday people. Everyday people. Everyday people. Thank you. Namaste.
I love that song. I love that. Yeah, good morning. God, it feels so good to be back. It really does. And thank you for everything, especially your prayers. I want you to know I felt them. I don't know if you realize, because I didn't, how serious this was. The gentleman, the doctor that operated on me told me the next day that only about 50% of the people survive what I went through. And I had that confirmed last week by my cardiologist. So, by the grace of God, by your prayers, I'm here. And I'm going to tell you that John and I have been well fed by Loma and Susan and Sharon and Lynn and Amy and Rosie, and Marianne brought me a margarita. Lynn was my nurse and helped me with a couple of showers among a whole bunch of other stuff. And of course, John Lopez and Louise Riley and Rosie Klein stepped in as our Sunday speakers, and I watched, they do a great job. Yeah, I just love what I watched every single one of them. What a beautiful job they did. And Melinda helped with coordination from Alaska, and we really welcome back Melinda. So our theme for the month is Love Out Loud. And as critical as I am of themes and topics that come from a home office that we're supposed to follow, I do like this one. And I want to kind of follow along the same lines as Melinda a little bit. Marianne Williamson, in A Return to Love, says love taken seriously is a radical outlook, a major departure from the psychological orientation that rules the world. It's interesting not because it's a small idea, but because it is so huge. So you and I generally don't associate the words radical, major, threatening, or revolutionary with love. But if love taken seriously means a complete transformation of our thinking, a relinquishment of a thought system based on fear, and the acceptance of a thought system based on love, then indeed those words seem to fit. We cannot live out loud. We cannot be all that we were meant to be unless we take love seriously, unless we are willing to let go of those places where we may be harboring resentment, anger, guilt, even hate for others and even for ourselves. And perhaps the best way for this transformation to take place is through forgiveness work. Our Jewish brothers and sisters are participating in their holiest time of the year. It began Friday with Rosh Hashanah, or the Jewish New Year, and will end on this coming Saturday evening with Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And the 10 days in between these two events are known as the days of awe. The scriptures state that during the 40 days after the Jewish people received the Torah at Mount Sinai and committed to be God's chosen people, the children of Israel turned away and began to worship a golden calf. When God threatened to destroy them, Moses pleaded with God to forgive the people and give them another chance. And on the 10th day, God said, "I have forgiven," and the covenant was restored. Since that day of God's original forgiveness, the Jewish people have observed Yom Kippur as an acknowledgement of the indestructible relationship with God and the people of Israel. You know, I've read that Jewish people do not commemorate a holiday, they relive it. They become part of that journey that the holiday represents. So one of the ongoing themes of the Days of Awe that I really love is the concept that God has books that he writes our names in, and based on the actions of the previous year, determines who will have a good new life and who will have a bad one for the next year. And these books are written in on Rosh Hashanah and are sealed 10 days later on Yom Kippur. I kind of look at it as like you're penciled in until you get written in ink, you know. But actions that are taken by individuals during these days of awe can alter God's decree for them. Like the original story of repentance and prayer that caused God to originally change his mind, the Jewish people have 10 days to change a potentially negative decree through the forgiveness work that they do. So these 10 days are a time for serious introspection, a time to consider the transgressions of the previous year, and repent before Yom Kippur, known as the Day of Atonement. And it's more than just asking for forgiveness. It's more than just making amends. It's that radical sense that Melinda was talking about. It's necessary. It is necessary to grant forgiveness to anyone who earnestly asks for it, and to ask forgiveness and make amends to those whom we have hurt in any way. And this time of repentance to our fellow human beings is necessary because God can only forgive after we have forgiven the person who has harmed us. In other words, and I love this, what happens at the level of the divine must begin in the world of the human. And that's very much like what you and I believe. When we have to forgive and make amends, clearing our minds of guilt, resentment, or shame, and we have to go inside to change our ideas and beliefs, and only then can the law of mind work for our highest and best good. And our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, writes in the textbook, we are told that God will forgive us after we have forgiven others. This is a direct statement and one that we should ponder deeply. Can God forgive until we have forgiven? If God can work for us only by working through us, then this statement stands true and is really a statement of the law of cause and effect. The 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is a time to ask God for forgiveness. We don't believe in a God out there who forgives us, but you and I can see that this is a time to not only change any harmful or hurtful behavior, but change the underlying thought or belief that gave rise to the behavior in the first place. Dr. Holmes says our ability to demonstrate depends upon our ability to provide a mental equivalent of our desires, for the law of correspondence works from the belief to the thing. In the Jewish tradition, Yom Kippur is the response from God that comes only after the outward expression of forgiveness and the inner work of changing consciousness. And while our words may not be the same, the work we do is the same. We clean up the behavior, while at the same time we shift our consciousness so that the resulting demonstration is the outward expression of that inward change. There's a little story by Rabbi Yossi Gordon. The Kaiser of Austria came to visit the Tsar of Russia. A state dinner with all the trimmings was served. One of the items on the menu was kishka, otherwise known as stuffed derma. It is the intestines of the animal stuffed with flour and oil and all sorts of spices. The kishke was served and the Kaiser loved it. He asked the Tsar to send his cooks the recipe, and the Tsar graciously promised to do so, and after the Kaiser's departure, the Russian cooks wrote down the recipe and sent it via diplomatic messenger to the Kaiser's chef. The day finally came when the Kaiser was informed that he would be served kishka. He sat down hungrily. Out came a tray. Phew, did it stink. The Kaiser took the cover from his plate and took a bite. He immediately spat out the piece and ordered the tray removed and the kishka thrown away. A letter of official protest was immediately dispatched to the Tsar. How dare he send a recipe of such vile concoction? This Tsar received the protest letter and summoned his cooking staff for an explanation. I know you're ahead of me. The imperial staff was perplexed. They went over the recipe and could not find the problem. After quite some time, and in a moment of inspiration, one of the staff explained, "Of course, we told him how to stuff and spice the kishka, but we never realized that we needed to tell him to clean it out before he stuffed it." Rabbi Gordon says, this story is a parable for high holy days. Oftentimes, we make firm resolutions for the future, especially when we near the upcoming days of awe. And the story teaches us that indeed, good deeds are important. However, resolutions are best prefaced by an honest stock-taking in order to correct any areas in our belief that need fixing. Otherwise, even with all of the spices, all of the good deeds in the world, a person may remain a stinking kishka. Our topic today is love thy neighbor, and I think that this forgiveness work is necessary preparation if we are to love God, love ourselves, and love our neighbor. Jesus was approached by a scholar who, testing him, asked, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus replied, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" And the scholar replied, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your being, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And Jesus says, "You have answered correctly. Do this, and you will live." But because he wished to justify himself, the scholar asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" And Jesus replies with what we know as the parable of the Good Samaritan. The story tells us that a man was beaten on the road from Jerusalem and left for dead. The priest passed him by. The Levite, which is an agent of the temple, passed him by. And it was a Samaritan, a person whose culture was despised by the Jews of the day, who not only tended to the man's wounds, but found lodging for him and paid for all of it. You know, at the time of Jesus and even today, behavior often takes precedence over motives. If we obey the rules, then we are rewarded. But if we use love God, love each other as our highest authority, then it is the action that comes from the heart, not the adherence to the rules, that gives us entrance to the kingdom of heaven. It is love and not law that is the signpost that guides our life. In the Samaritan story, the Levite and priest followed the rules. If they had become bloodstained from the man's wounds, or had the man died and they had touched a corpse, then they would be defiled and by the rules could not perform their temple duties. So according to law, they did the right thing. It is understood that the beaten man was a Jew, and according to the rules, the Samaritan, being hated by the Jews, should not have stopped. But he did, not because he was supposed to, but because he cared. He stopped, not because of our reward, but because he was motivated by love. And when Jesus then asked the scholar, "Who do you say is the neighbor of these three?" the scholar could not bring himself to say the Samaritan, but he answered the one who had mercy on him. The scholar can't bring himself to admit that it was the despised Samaritan who was the better neighbor, but he can't ignore the obvious message of the parable. And he knows what he needs to do. Now he has to wrestle with it. Can his heart accept the Samaritan? Jesus tells us to love God and to love our neighbor as ourselves. And when we love each other with this kind of love, it is a powerful force. There is nothing namby-pamby about it. It is a radical way of loving. I am you. You are me. There is no place where you start and I stop, because there is no place where God stops or starts. If you and I are to love out loud, then we must be motivated by that love, the extraordinary radical love that Marianne Williams speaks of. We must realize that we are all part of the one whole, uniquely expressing as us, and so is everybody else. When who we are and what we do is informed by love, then we are living as the Samaritan. When we are motivated not by rules, but what our heart tells us is true, we touch the divinity in ourselves, in each other, and in everything that we call the material world. This is loving thy neighbor. This is loving out loud. And this is the way we change the world. Thank you. Namaste.
If you would like to stand, you're welcome to. But I will say that this song is a little different if you've never done this one before.
It's easy.
Goes like this. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. 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 Peace inside my mind. God and only God is moving me. Peace inside my mind. God and only God I live to see. Peace inside my mind. God and only God is moving me. Peace inside my mind. God and only God I live to see. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Peace inside my heart. God and only God is moving me. Peace inside my heart. God and only God I live to see. Peace inside my heart. God and only God is moving me. Peace inside my heart. God and only God I live to see. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, 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 Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Peace inside the earth. God and only God is moving me. Peace inside the earth. God and only God I live to see. Peace inside the earth. God and only God is moving me. Peace inside the earth. God and only God I live to see. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om.
I'm glad you chose that one. I like that. Okay, it's time to put the divine law of circulation in process with our offering. And I invite you to join me with our offering affirmation on the inside of your bulletin. My gift goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless all that it touches. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I share generously of my good, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Okay. So again, thank you for all that you do, not just financially, but in every way, shape, or form, that you make us a loving presence in the community, and this is truly our family. I just thank you so much for everything. So let's take a moment to close out in prayer, and then please join us for refreshments. And again, I am so grateful for each and every one of you. So I know that there is only one mind, one divine intelligence. We call it God, but it's known by many names. And the attributes of this divine intelligence are love, truth, beauty, joy, harmony, peace. And made in that image and likeness, we are made from that one. These attributes are inherent within each and every one of us. So with our Jewish brothers and sisters, let's take a moment this week to pause and reflect. Where do I need to forgive? What do I need to let go of that no longer serves me? Where am I blaming another? And simply allow those to melt into the understanding that there is only one of us here. I give thanks for each and every one of us and know that indeed we are blessed beyond measure as we say together, and so it is. Thank you. May we stand and sing Stand.
Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for